Iran, known for centuries to the world as Persia. But why did this ancient land choose the name Iran, and what does it truly mean? This question takes us on a remarkable journey back through thousands of years of history, uncovering empires, languages, and the very identity of a people. Today, we know the country as the Islamic Republic of Iran, a vast and vibrant nation in the Middle East. Its sprawling capital, Tehran, is a bustling metropolis, a center of modern life that stands in stark contrast to the ancient ruins scattered across the country. Yet the name on everyone's lips, Iran, is not a modern invention. It is a word with deep roots, far older than many of the countries we know today. To understand the shift from Persia to Iran, we must first look at the country as it is now. Iran is a major regional power, with a rich culture that influences art, literature, and cinema far beyond its borders. Its landscapes are incredibly diverse, from the snow-capped Alborz Mountains in the north to the warm waters of the Persian Gulf in the south. The people of Iran are inheritors of a legacy that is both complex and profound. This legacy is woven into the very fabric of their national identity, and the name Iran is its most powerful symbol. It speaks to a shared heritage that connects the people of Tehran today with the great kings and poets of the past. The story of this name change is not a simple rebranding. It's about a nation choosing to define itself on its own terms, asking the world to see it as it has always seen itself. For centuries, the West used the name Persia, a name given by outsiders, specifically the ancient Greeks. While the name conjures images of exotic markets, beautiful carpets, and powerful shahs, it only tells part of the story. The name the people themselves used, the one that echoed in their poetry and was carved into the stone of their monuments, was Iran. This distinction is crucial to understanding the country's history and its place in the world. So, let's peel back the layers of time. We will travel from the grand halls of Persepolis to the royal courts of the Sassanian kings and finally to the 20th century, when a formal request was made to the world. We will explore how a name used internally for millennia finally became its official international title. This exploration is more than just a history lesson, it's a window into the soul of a nation, revealing how a single word can carry the weight of an entire civilization. It's a story of pride, identity, and the enduring power of history to shape the present. When we think of ancient Persia, our minds are often drawn to its most famous chapter, the Achaemenid Empire. Founded in the 6th century BCE by the legendary Cyrus the Great, this was the largest empire the world had ever seen. It stretched from the Balkans in Europe all the way to the Indus Valley in India, uniting a vast and diverse collection of peoples under a single, organized rule. Cyrus the Great wasn't just a conqueror, he was a revolutionary leader known for his wisdom and tolerance. The famous Cyrus cylinder, an ancient clay artifact, is often considered one of the world's first declarations of human rights, outlining his policy of respecting the customs and religions of the lands he conquered. The Achaemenid Empire left an indelible mark on history. Its administrative genius, with its system of provinces governed by satraps, its royal road for rapid communication, and its standardized currency, became a model for future empires, including the Romans. The Persians were masters of engineering and architecture, and their legacy can still be seen today in the magnificent ruins of Persepolis. This grand ceremonial capital, with its towering columns and intricate reliefs, was designed to impress. It was a stage for the empire's power and a testament to the incredible wealth and artistry of the Persian civilization. The term Persian itself comes from this period, referring to the dominant people from the region of Persis, or Fars. The identity that we now call Persian was forged during this era. It was a culture that celebrated art, poetry, and sophisticated courtly life. The empire was multi-ethnic and multilingual, but a shared sense of belonging to this great civilization began to grow. The rulers like Darius the Great and Xerxes, who followed Cyrus, continued to expand and consolidate the empire's power. Their battles with the Greek city-states, famously chronicled by the Greek historian Herodotus, became legendary events in Western history. These conflicts are precisely why the name Persia became so deeply embedded in the European consciousness, as it was the name the Greeks used for their powerful eastern rival. Even after the Achaemenid Empire fell to Alexander the Great in 330 BCE, its cultural influence endured. The concept of a grand, unified state and the rich traditions of Persian art administration, and philosophy did not disappear. Instead, they were absorbed and adapted by successive dynasties. The idea of Persia became synonymous with a high civilization, a place of immense historical significance and cultural achievement. This golden age laid the groundwork for a continuous identity that would survive for millennia, even as the name used by its own people remained different from the one known to the outside world. While the Greeks called the empire Persia, the people living within it had a different name for their homeland, one with much older origins. This name can be traced back to ancient sacred texts and inscriptions. In the Avesta, the holy book of Zoroastrianism, one of the world's oldest monotheistic religions, we find the term Aryanam Vaija, which translates to the expanse of the Aryans. This is the mythological homeland of the ancient Indo-Iranian peoples who migrated into the region thousands of years ago. The word Aryan in this context refers to an ethno-linguistic group, meaning noble or honorable in their own language. From this ancient root, the term for the land itself evolved. Old Persian inscriptions from the time of the Achaemenid kings, such as the famous Behistun inscription of Darius the Great, use the word Arya to describe their lineage. Darius proudly proclaims, "I am Darius, the great king, king of kings, a Persian, son of a Persian, an Aryan, of Aryan lineage." This shows that while he identified as a Persian from the region of Persis, he also saw himself as part of a larger noble group of people, the Aryans. The concept was more of a cultural and ethnic identifier than a political one at this stage. The word for the land, a land of the Aryans, appears in various forms in ancient texts. In Old Persian it was referred to as Aryanam Gzathram, which means the kingdom of the Aryans. This concept wasn't just a vague, mythological idea, it was a name that the rulers and people themselves recognized. It represented a shared heritage that connected various tribes and groups across the vast Iranian plateau. It was an identity marker that predated the Achaemenid Empire and was deeply tied to their language, religion, and cultural traditions. This ancient self-identification is the key to understanding why Iran is not a new name. So, we have two names existing side by side. Persia was the external name, the exonym, used by foreigners like the Greeks who first encountered the empire through the people of Persis. On the other hand, Iran, evolving from Aryānām, was the internal name, the endonym, used by the inhabitants themselves to describe their ancestral homeland and their collective identity. This dual naming convention would continue for more than 2,000 years, creating a fascinating historical puzzle. The world knew them by one name, while they knew themselves by another. The distinction between Persia and Iran is fundamental to this story. The name Persia is an exonym, a name given by outsiders. It originated with the ancient Greeks, whose first major interactions with the Achaemenid Empire were with people from the province of Fars, or Persis in Greek. Because this was the heartland of the ruling dynasty, the Greeks logically extended the name of this region to refer to the entire empire. It's similar really to how the world often uses Holland to refer to the whole of the Netherlands, even though Holland is just a region within it. The name Persia stuck, and through Greek and later Roman writings, it became the standard term used throughout the Western world. For centuries this name was associated with the grandeur and might of the empire. It evoked images of the powerful Persian kings, their epic wars with the Greeks, and the exotic allure of a distant and powerful civilization. The name carried with it a rich historical and cultural weight in the European imagination. From Shakespeare's plays to Enlightenment philosophy, Persia was the word used to denote this specific land and its people. This usage was not malicious or incorrect in a historical sense. It was simply the name that had been passed down through Western tradition for over 2 millennia, and it was the only name most people in the West knew. Meanwhile, within the empire and among its people, the name Iran was the one that held true meaning. This endonym, the name used by the people themselves, was derived from the ancient term Aryanam and signified their shared ancestry and cultural space. It was a name that encompassed all the different peoples of the Iranian plateau, not just those from the province of Fars. It spoke to a broader identity, one that was linguistic, cultural, and tied to the Zoroastrian faith. Poets like Ferdowsi, in his epic masterpiece the Book of Kings, written around 1000 CE, consistently used the name Iran to refer to the kingdom. This parallel existence of names highlights a common phenomenon in world history. Many countries have a different name in their own language than they do in others. Germany is Deutschland to its people, Japan is Nippon, and China is Zhongguo. The case of Iran and Persia, however, is particularly interesting because both names were used for such a long time, and the transition from one to the other in international usage happened so recently. For the people of the land, they were always Iranians living in Iran. For the rest of the world, they were Persians living in Persia. This created two parallel narratives about the same place. The use of Iran as a political and geographical name became much more official and prominent with the rise of the Sassanian Empire in 224 CE. The Sassanians overthrew the Parthians, who had ruled after the Greek Seleucids, and consciously sought to revive the glory of the First Persian Empire, the Achaemenids. They saw themselves as the true successors to Cyrus and Darius. As part of this nationalistic revival, they formally adopted the name Iran for their state. The founder of the dynasty, Ardashir I, took the title King of Kings of Iran, with Iran being the Middle Persian form of the older Aryanam. This was a deliberate and powerful statement. The Sassanians carved inscriptions on monuments and rock reliefs, a famous example being at Naqsh-e-Rustam, the ancient necropolis of the Achaemenid kings. In these inscriptions, they clearly identified their empire as Aranshar, meaning the empire of the Iranians. This was not just a cultural term anymore, it was the official name of the state. It solidified the idea of Iran as a distinct political entity with a history stretching back to the ancient Aryans. The Sassanian era cemented Iran as the proper and internal name for the country, a tradition that would never be lost among its people. When the Sassanian Empire fell to the Arab Islamic conquests in the 7th century, a new chapter began. The region became part of the rapidly expanding Islamic Caliphate, and Islam gradually became the dominant religion. However, the Persian identity and the name Iran did not vanish. In fact, Persian culture underwent a renaissance. The Persian language, now written in an Arabic script, flourished and became one of the great literary languages of the Islamic world. Great thinkers, scientists, and poets of this era, though writing in both Arabic and Persian, were conscious of their Iranian heritage. They preserved the stories and legends of pre-Islamic Iran. This cultural continuity was remarkable. The epic poem, the Ferdowsi, is the greatest example of this. Completed in the early 11th century, this colossal work tells the mythical and historical story of the kings of Iran from the beginning of time up to the Arab conquest. Ferdowsi's work is a cornerstone of Persian literature, and is credited with preserving the Persian language and the national identity of Iran. Throughout its 60,000 verses, the name used for the land is always Iran. This shows that even centuries after the fall of the last Zoroastrian Empire, the concept of Iran as a distinct cultural and geographical entity was alive and well in the hearts and minds of its people. Despite the continuous use of Iran within the country for millennia, the Western world stubbornly held on to the name Persia. This was not due to any ill will, but simply because of historical tradition. European scholars, diplomats and travelers had used the Greek-derived name for over 2,000 years. Maps, history books, and official documents all referred to the country as Persia. The art, carpets, and cats were Persian. This created a situation where the international community was using a name that was, in a sense, an outdated historical label, disconnected from the country's own name for itself. This disconnect would finally be addressed in the 20th century. In the 1920s and 1930s, Iran was undergoing a period of intense modernization and nation-building under the rule of Reza Shah Pahlavi. He was a nationalist leader who sought to strengthen the country, centralize its government, and forge a unified national identity based on its ancient pre-Islamic heritage. He believed that the country needed to present a modern, independent, and unified face to the world. A key part of this project was to align the country's international name with its domestic one. He wanted the world to call his country by its real name, the name its people had been using for centuries. On March 21, 1935, the start of the Persian New Year, Nowruz, the Iranian government made a formal request to all foreign embassies. It asked them to stop using the exonym Persia in official correspondence and to use the endonym Iran instead. The government explained that Persia referred only to one province, while Iran represented the entire nation and its people. This was a powerful assertion of national sovereignty. It was a declaration that the country would no longer be defined by a name given to it by ancient foreign rivals. It was time for the world to recognize the country on its own terms. The request caused some confusion and debate abroad. Some scholars and diplomats felt that the name Persia had a rich and positive historical resonance that would be lost. They argued that Persia was a well-known brand, synonymous with a great civilization. However, the Iranian government was firm. The switch to Iran was seen as a crucial step in shaking off the legacy of 19th-century political interference by foreign powers like Britain and Russia. It was a symbolic act of reclaiming the nation's identity and presenting itself as a modern, unified state with an ancient and proud heritage connected to the name Iran. The adoption of Iran as the country's official international name was more than just a cosmetic change. It was a profound statement about national pride and cultural continuity. The name Iran directly connects the modern nation-state to its ancient roots, to the land of the Aryans mentioned in sacred texts, and the Aranshar of the Sassanian kings. It bypasses the Greek and Western filter of Persia, and anchors the national identity in a narrative that the Iranian people themselves have cultivated for thousands of years. It is a name that belongs to them, a symbol of their enduring civilization. Today, the name Iran serves as a powerful unifying force in a country with diverse ethnic and linguistic groups including Persians, Azeris, Kurds, Lurs, and others. While Persian, or Farsi, is the official language and the dominant culture, the name Iran is more inclusive. It refers to a broader historical and cultural realm, the land of all Iranian peoples. It fosters a sense of shared destiny and a collective identity that transcends regional differences. The name embodies the spirit of the nation as envisioned by poets like Ferdowsi, a unified kingdom with a rich and storied past. The story of how Iran got its name is a perfect illustration of how history shapes the present. The journey from Persia to Iran reflects a nation's journey towards self-definition on the global stage. While many in the West still affectionately use the word Persian to refer to the culture, Persian carpets, Persian cats, Persian cuisine, the country itself has been officially Iran for nearly a century. The dual identity persists in some ways, with Persia representing the historical and cultural legacy, and Iran representing the modern political and national entity. Both names tell a part of the same epic story. In the end, the name Iran is a bridge connecting a glorious ancient past to a complex and dynamic present. It is a testament to the resilience of a culture that has weathered invasions, dynastic changes and revolutions, yet has always maintained a strong sense of its own identity. It reminds us that names are not just labels, they are stories. And the story of Iran is one of pride, heritage, and the timeless connection between a people and their land. If this story gave you new insight, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Which country's name should we uncover next? Drop your suggestion below.